today, US President Trump made some comments that Europe is decaying and is led by weak people. Do you think that this shows that the EU and Ukraine can no longer rely on the US as an ally? And President, for you on frozen assets, is Belgium close to agreeing, and will a deal be reached in Brussels in December? Thank you.
Well, we are allies with the United States, and allies must act as allies. That means that we should not interfere in the political, internal life of our countries. We respect the choice of Americans, and they need to respect the democratic choice of our citizens. When the Irish people choose Micheál to be Prime Minister, President Trump must respect this. When all the leaders elect me President of the European Council, President Trump must respect this, as we respect that the American citizens elected him President of the United States. It's like this that allies behave between each other. Looking at the next European Council, we are working hard to deliver in our previous decision. And our previous decision is very clear. We will support the financial needs of Ukraine for 2026 and for 2027. Now we are working on the fine-tuning solution to find a legal and technical solution that could obtain the agreement of all, of at least the qualified majority of the member states. The European Commission is doing a very good job, is working very closely with all the national governments, and I think we are very close to obtain a solution. And for me, it's sure that in the 18th of December, we will take a decision. But as I share with my colleagues, if it's necessary, we will continue the 19th or the 20th of December until to conclude positively.
Could I say that I agree with what Antonio has said, but I also would disagree with President Trump's description of Europe as weak. Obviously, it depends on how one defines strength, but Europe is one of the strongest continents in the world in terms of economic strength. Actually, that's manifested in the EU-US trade agreement. Inherently in that agreement is a recognition of the strength of Europe economically. If you look at how Europe performed during the pandemic, it was a strong performance in terms of the manufacture. First of all, the organisation putting together within 12 months the manufacture and distribution of vaccines. It really showed European strength in a very concrete way for citizens not just of Europe but the entire world, because Europe was the one continent that did not impose market bans or export authorization bans. So right throughout COVID, we allowed vaccines and components of vaccines throughout the world. That is strength. Belief in our intellectual property, belief in our manufacturing capacity, and belief in our global role. And Europe remains the biggest donor to conflict areas all over the world, to Africa, and to sustainability across the world. We have views that might differ with others in terms of climate, but we are strong in terms of the articulation of that and the delivery of policies. So I look at it from a different perspective, in terms of how one defines strength. I think Europe is strong, not weak. Clearly, in the area of security, new challenges have arrived. The onset of the brutal invasion of Ukraine by Russia has meant increased hybrid attacks across Europe, certainly in terms of greater vulnerabilities, And therefore, Europe is now focusing on that in terms of meeting those security challenges. And I'm confident that Europe has the capacity, has the economic scale to respond to those challenges.
I think you issued a statement in which you said that Ukrainian sovereignty must be respected as well as its security. Could you perhaps explain, if you can, where territory fits into that equation? Does sovereignty mean protecting Ukrainian territory against ceding it to the Russians? And Taoiseach, slightly more domestic questions to you, if you don't mind. There's a report that was issued today emanating from a PSNI report from 2016 in which Steak Knife, the collaborator and British agent, is identified, but they don't identify him by name. And do you think at this stage that his name should be identified? And perhaps in relation to identifying something else, is the Fianna Fáil review into the presidential election campaign, is it due to be published before Christmas or not?
The European Union and their member states are the main supporters of Ukraine since day one of this war of aggression from Russia to Ukraine. We met in Brussels the 24th of February 2022, the very first day of the war starts, and we approve our full commitment to support Ukraine by financial means, diplomatic means. Later, we engage also in the military support. No one in the world has supported more Ukraine than Europe. And we will remain the great supporters of Ukraine. And we will support Ukraine now in war times, and we will support Ukraine in the peace times. But when we talk about peace, we are talking about peace, not only to stop hostilities, not only about a truce, but a just and lasting peace that ensures the future security of Ukraine and also the future security of Europe. And that's why we are engaged in support the Ukrainian negotiators in these negotiations. Part of the issues, of course, only Ukraine can take a decision as a sovereign state, and we must respect them. Territory is clear, a choice of Ukraine, and we must respect them. Other issues, it comes to the European Union to decide. And that's the reason, because we say nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, and nothing about Europe without Europe. When it comes about sanctions, about frozen assets, about European accession of Ukraine, of course, this is about Europe. And yes, and we are strong enough. We have been strong in the COVID. We are strong to support the development, and we are strong enough to support Ukraine. And when others have doubts if they should continue to support Ukraine, or they want to give up in Ukraine, we still and we keep with our unwavering support to Ukraine. And we will not do in Ukraine what others have done in Afghanistan. We will remain supporting Ukraine.
Could I say at the outset that the Canova, I welcome the publication of the final Canova report following on the interim report. It is a catalogue of tragedy, of pain to many families, hurt to many families and communities. It is a very sordid story of how a top British agent, who was a lifelong member of the Provisional IRA, was responsible for so many people, so responsible for the deaths of so many people. The report is very clear about the unacceptable nature of state involvement in the utilisation of this agent, which led to so many deaths. Also, it's very clear about the terror and the campaign of terror that the Provisional IRA waged within their own communities. This was very strong in the interim report, it's strong in this report. It was a campaign against their own communities, men, women, children, people with disability. And I would encourage people to read it, because if ever we need an illustration of the sordid nature of violence and unnecessary conflict, this is it. This is both the IRA and the British state sort of involved at a level which is resulting in unnecessary deaths and killings, and very serious questions to answer in that respect. And then I want to acknowledge with regret the absence of the full Denton, the agent should be named, everybody knows who the agent is. The absence of the full Denton report. The summary is included in today's wider Canova report, but in itself is official recognition that a network of loyalist paramilitaries, which included members of both RUC, which was the police force at the time, and the Ulster Defence Regiment, murdered up to 120 people, among them those killed in the Dublin and Monaghan in May of 1974. This is seismic in its conclusions and in its confirmation, and it is shocking. And understanding that we were expecting a confirmation of this kind, it is still seismic. And all of this level of collusion had a corrosive effect on confidence in wider state forces, to the detriment of all. So the gravity of the findings across Canova, Mizzenmast, Turma, Denton is a reminder in terms of the degree of suffering that so many families have endured on the island as a result of that conflict. And that is why the framework agreement arrived at between the current British government and Irish government is so important, because it gives a sustainable framework to deal with legacy once and for all. And it was negotiated in good faith by both governments, with consultation obviously with the political parties in Northern Ireland, and above all with the families and the groups, the victims' groups. We do need to grasp this opportunity. The legislation is going through Westminster. We will also have to develop legislation. We're creating a special Garda unit before Christmas to cooperate with the new framework. We will have legislation on the OMA inquiry to cooperate with the independent OMA inquiry as well. It's an opportunity for the Republic to show good faith, full disclosure in respect of any knowledge that we have in terms of atrocities that were carried out during those 30 years, and that's important. And in relation to the review, we expect that we expect to publish it before Christmas. I said before Christmas, yeah.